Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can hear you.
All right, cool. Um, good evening, everyone. My name is Kehinde Uluonifade. I'm in year four, and I'm the current sports sec. Most of you know. And today is the Nicesa year three orientation. So I'll be your host for the day, alongside Tim Tokwe Balogun and Lawal Abdulmajid. So Timmy, can you introduce yourself?
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Temitope Daniel Balogun. Most of you know me as TDB, and I'm in 400 level as well. I'm currently the Nicesa Treasurer elect, and I'll be moderating alongside Kenny and Lawal.
Okay, so thank you for taking time out for this event. It's very important, really, and it's one of the um, necessary things that you have to do at the start of every session, basically. So I'll run through the program of the day. I'll try to make it as short as possible, and we get started. So you've met your moderators. Firstly, we'll be starting with introducing ourselves, which I already did. Um, we have the president here. He's going to be giving us a closing remark, but I'd like him to introduce himself. Yeah. So, Kyoche, is Stephen on the
Okay,
call?
good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I didn't expect that I was going to be called this early. Yes, so like Kennedy said, thank you, Kennedy. I am Stephen Kyoche. I'm privileged to be serving as the president of Civil Nigerian Student Society. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Kennedy.
Thank you. Lawal, I believe you're on the call now. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Lawal Abdulmajid. I am currently the welfare secretary for SES, and I would love to have you guys join us more. Tell the rest of you guys to
Okay,
like
so
come online. We can't afford to miss this.
thank you. So moving on, I'll list out the courses you guys are doing this semester, and then I'll introduce the scholars we have on. We've invited some scholars, brilliant guys in year four, that will talk to you about how to get your A. It's actually not that hard, and they'll let you know how they did it. So, firstly, I'll mention the course, then I'll tell you who is talking about it, and then the scholar should please introduce themselves. I hope everyone is on the call right now. So, talking about CG 314 and CG 331. So 314 is concrete and timber design. It's a 2 unit course. Dari Favor will talk about that. He's also going to be talking about structural analysis, CG 331, also a 2 unit course. Dari, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. My name is Fivo. Yeah, 400 level civil engineering. Yeah, all protocols really observed.
Thank you. Um, God's will be another scholar will be talking about your electives, MEG 319 and GG 311. So MEG 319 is mechanical engineering technology. It's a 3 unit course, and GG 311 is calculus of several variables, another 3 unit course. Everyone here got A in their course, so you should listen to them. God's please introduce yourself.
Yeah, so good evening, guys. My name is Godswill, also in civil engineering 400 level. And as Kenny said, I'll be the one talking to you guys for GG319 and MEG3, GG311 and MEG319.
Thank you, God's Um, your solar, another scholar, she'll be talking about CG 316, that's transportation engineering and other extracurricular activities. So, Yosola, introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. So, my name is Scott Yosela Fijabi. I'm a 400 level student of civil engineering. Obviously, I'll be taking I'll be taking transportation engineering and also talking about the importance of engaging in extracurricular activities as well as juggling school with it. So yes, it is nice to be here.
Okay, and the last scholar, Olale Gideon, I hope he's on the call. He's going to be taking CG 315 and CG 317. 315 is mechanics of fluid, part two. I'm sure you guys did the first part in year two, and 317 is properties of civil engineering materials. Both of them 2 unit courses. Um, Gideon, please introduce yourself.
Um, Good evening, everyone. I am Gideon Olaleye, and as Kenny stated, I'll be talking about how to basically succeed in fluid and property. Thanks for having me here.
Okay. um, Thank you, Gideon. So, without wasting anyone's time, this is how it's going to go. Two scholars will take the stage and they will talk about their courses, and then we'll have a Q&A session. Any question you have for them, any question you have for them, just ensure you prepare it while they are talking. So they'll have about 10-20 minutes to talk, both of them. And then we have another 10-15 minutes for questions. Then we move on to the last two scholars. They talk about their courses and repeat the same thing. And then our able president is going to give you a closing remark and you go on about your day. So without wasting your time, I'd like to call on our first scholar, Godzo. Godzo will be talking about the electives. So he's going to be talking about MEG 319 and GG 311. So, Godzo.
Okay, so good evening once again, and sorry, please, can you all hear me clearly?
Can we please respond?
With a thumbs up, I guess. Yeah, all right. So I can see some thumbs up, so that means you guys can hear. So basically, I'll be starting with GG 311. Like Kenny said, it's a 3 unit course, it's an elective, and it's calculus of several variables. Now, first of all, one thing I'd like you guys to know is this course was the modus operandi of this course was changed during our sets. Basically, the guys that were taking this course before, they were not the ones that took this course with us. A new lecturer was introduced, and he introduced like different, basically different a different style of teaching the course and some other things that were new to the course. But regardless, this like the things the course entails are: number one, the man said while he was taking us that it was necessary for us to learn how to use Wolfram Mathematica. It's a programming language for solving mathematical problems. And basically, why it was important was because it allowed us to use it in the exams. So our exams were OBJ. We wrote them on our systems. So and then we are allowed to use Wolfram to solve questions that we could basically not solve with our hands for us not to waste time. Now, another things I'd like you guys to note is I'm not really sure they allow objectives anymore from year three and above. So I do not know if you guys are going to be doing objectives or if it's going to be completely theory for the course. But regardless, my advice for this course is always try to attend the man's classes. The man's classes are very important because this course, with the way he introduced the course, the things he introduced in this course, there are no materials out there that has everything that this man is going to teach you. There are no materials out there. He will recommend some textbooks to you, but even those textbooks, if you don't attend his class, you'll find it very difficult to understand what you are reading in those textbooks. So while you're attending his class, try to pay attention, and then his slides, he will always send his slides to you
after the classes. Always try to go through that slide after the class. Just try to follow up with the class. It's very, very important, because in as much as you try to go online and find other resources, you find bare resources online to help you with the course. But if you can follow through in class, read the slides, listen to what he says, and also it's very important for you to be active. Not necessarily that important, but just try to be active in the class. One or two, if he asks questions, try to respond for you to make sure, for if not for the man, for yourself, that you are understanding what he's teaching. And then also during our time, we did self tests. Now, these self tests are very, very, very important. Very, very, very important. They might look like they are not important, but they are very, very important. Trust me, because they are going to account for your final grade at the end of the semester. There's no like standard. We didn't write like a standard test. The self test, the man just uploaded a question bank on his website. So we had an unlimited number of times to go through the question bank, answer 30 questions every time we do a self test. So each time you see your score immediately. Even after our exam, when we wrote our exam, we saw our score immediately. So try as much as possible to run this self-test over and over again. You would have unlimited time. So run them over and over again to make sure for yourself again that you are understanding what the man is teaching and you are not just following the crowd. So run the self-test as much as possible, and then try to see. It will also give you, after the self-test, you will see if you fail any of the questions, you will see topics that you had issues with. So you can just take those topics, go back and then work on them, and then come back and take another self-test. So that's basically it for GG311. Just listen in class, follow the man's slide, try to do as many self-tests as possible, and try to score high every time you do them, at least a 20 over 30 each and every time you do them, because they will account for your final grade. I don't know how he scores them. I don't know how, because why I'm saying this is because there were a lot of people that after the exam they scored like 45 over 50 in the exam. Like I said, we saw our score immediately. But then during the when the final result came out, the final grade came out, we were seeing like some people were seeing like 68, 69, and then they were wondering how. It was because some of them just freestyled those self-tests, and at the end of the day caught up with them. So that's basically it for GG311. Then for MG319, MG319 is basically split into three sections: machines, vibrations, and heat. And those three sections will be taken by three different lecturers. Now, these three different lecturers, during our time, the guy that was taking vibration, this man was a no show. He only attended class the first like two times, came to class the first two times, and then this man did not come to class again until like it was like 3 weeks to the exam. That was when we saw this man in class again. And then when he came to class, that 3 weeks to exam, he told us the next week we were going to write a test. We all of us had forgotten that we were even doing the vibration aspect of the course until the man came back. So basically, the three of them are going to be taking the course. And then the advice I will give is for heat, always try to listen in class. The man will try his possible best to explain well in class. So if you're the kind of person that like listening in class, that can follow in class, for hits, try to listen in his class. You get some stuffs. For machines, this man can run through 60 pages of a slide. 60 pages, they can run through it in 1 hour, 30 minutes, and he tell you it's done. You just be rushing, just be skipping pages. Whether you are following, whether you're not following, it's not his business. So for machines, what I advise you to do is, as much as you try to follow in class, there's a 50% chance you won't be able to follow him. So just get his slide, then add couple it with Rajput. Once you couple it with Rajput, you should be good to go. And then if you're the kind of person that YouTube works for, you can try going on YouTube as well to get some clarifications on topics you don't understand. You'll find useful materials there for machines. Then Vibrations, like I said, the man was a no-show. But at the end of the day, we still wrote tests, we still wrote exam for the course. So the three of them, they will each give you their own tests, and they will each have their own sections in the exam. Machines will give you his tests, vibrations will give you his tests, heat will give you his own test. Three of them, and their tests will all account for each other in the when the final grade comes out. I don't know how they do it, but everything, their tests, all of them will shall add up to 40. I don't know the magic they do. So try as much as possible to cover each and every one of these course, each and every one of these aspects. Each of them on their own, they are enough to make to stand out as one course. I don't know how they managed to jam pack the three of them together and put them in as one particular course. But try as much as possible, make your own notes, because like I said, most of the times you'll be able to follow in class except for the hitman. The hitman will try as possible best, but the other two, most of the times you'll be able to follow. So try as much as possible to make your own notes. And then also, I forgot to mention one thing. Machines guy, this man likes assignments like mad. This man gives assignments almost every week, and according to him, you must do them, because somehow he finds a way to incorporate it into your final grade. So he loves assignment a lot. He gave us assignments like even a week before the exam. During lecture free week, he gave us assignments. I don't know why, I don't know how they managed to put it in the grade, but the machines guy loves assignments. The other two, nothing concern them with assignments. Their own is just test and exam. And I will advise you, please try to take their tests very seriously, because the exams, I don't know how they mark. I don't know how they mark. You might see that you've written, you've done your best in the exam, only for you to come out, for scores to come out, and you'll be shocked that, why am I seeing this? Why am I seeing this? Am I sure? Is this man sure that he marked this thing right? So try as much as possible to take the test very seriously, score high in your test, so that the exam, even if you try your possible best, you do everything you can, and they still try to do one or two mago mago, everything will even out eventually. So try as much as possible to pass your test very well. Then the exam. So the exam, machines guy, for us, the machines guy gave us three questions, vibrations gave us two questions, and heat gave us two questions. So basically, you have to answer at least one from each sections, and we answered five questions. So for most of us in our sets, we found the machines parts quite easier than the others. I don't know how it's going to be for you guys, but for most of us, we find the machines part quite easier than the others. But nonetheless, try to just go through everything, read through everything. The heat, you can also use Rajput as well. Rajput is also a very good textbook for heat and machine. Rajput is very good for the both of them. Then for vibration, I don't know the part. I can't even remember the particular textbook, because, like I said, we didn't even remember that we were even doing the course. So basically, that's it for both of the course. Then my general advice is, like I said earlier, let YouTube be your friend. If there are things you don't understand from textbooks in that you've read, there is definitely one Indian guy on YouTube that has explained it like 5 years ago. Just go on YouTube, do enough research, look through YouTube, search for search for the topic in any manner, in any way. You will definitely see one Indian guy or one Pakistani guy, one Asian guy, that has explained it like 5 years ago, and you definitely gain something from the guy. So let YouTube be your friend if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, then you can try other avenues. So thank you very much, and I hope you guys will go on to do well this semester, and that'll be all from me.
Thank you so much, Godzo. That was very helpful. Fantastic. Um, Before the Q&A session, Favor will talk to us about concrete and timber design and also structural analysis. Two interesting courses. So, Favor.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I'll be speaking on CG 314 concrete and timber design and CG um 331 structural analysis. So 314 basically concrete and timber design should be taken, at least during our time, was taken by Dr. Mrs. Abiodun, a very, very nice woman. So basically, getting an A in the course is not all that difficult. So it starts with you going to classes regularly. So she does not take attendance, but still, uh, it's important that you be in the class, because even when you're in class, you may not even understand what she's talking about at that instant. So it's important to go to the class. So basically, the course breakdown is timber and concrete. So she starts with timber, basically just an introduction, nothing serious. I think is like 30% or 40% theory, and the remaining parts like 60% calculations, and not so serious calculation, permissible stress and whatnot. So you are good. I think most of that are from knowledge from what you guys did in year two from makings of materials. So it's not that serious. Then there's the concrete design. So concrete is basically reinforced concrete design. So that's the design of structural elements. That's one-way slab, two-way slab, beams. I think we did columns and all of that. So this course is the course that makes you actually feel like a civil engineer. So that's one of the things I really enjoyed about the course. So, like I said, it's important that you go to your classes, take your notes, and listen in class. Then the the part you need to do the most is after every class, you have to go over what she has taught, because chances are there are not enough time. There isn't enough time to enough time during the lecture, so she runs over a lot of things, and you may just understand bits and pieces. So where you need to do the work is to go back and go over. In short, I'll advise you that same day, go over what she had taught. So usually when you actually, this comes in handy when you're doing the reinforced concrete design, that's concrete part of the course. When one day she might just say, okay, she's going to teach one way and two way slabs. So you are going to actually have a lot of information. You are going to be bombarded with a lot of information. So you have to go back at your own time, preferably that day, because if you lag, you're probably going to forget some details. So go back that day, check and make sure you understand. Then some resources. So I think recommended text for this book is Oyenuga. You should get it in the drive. Even though you don't need this book all that much. Honestly, all you need to pass the course is your notes and your presence in class. Just take the notes, listen in class, and you should be fine, I guess. So basically that's it um for CG301 for timber and concrete. Yeah, also CG331 structural analysis. Okay, so I believe year two you took mechanisms of materials one and two, and that was taken by engineer Falabi. I like the man, chilled man. It does not it's not easy. It does not stress anybody. So yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention for 314. So you do tests and exam. I think just one test actually. She'll just do the normal mid semester test, and then you do the exam. On the very not so many times has she done it, but she gave surprise class works or something like that. Nothing nothing too serious, but just if you are disturbing or if you're making noise, you can just pull that kind of thing. But they were not really serious during our time. But it's important that you guys behave yourselves during our class. So she does not do that. Then the normal exams usually depends on how she's feeling. That's what dictates how she's going to partition it. So sometimes 40, 16 and whatnot. But usually she tends to kind of let us know. So I mean, you should not have a problem with that. So like as I was saying, engineer Falabi is taking this course, and it's basically a continuation of making the materials in a way. So that's where you are going to basically be talking about analysis of statically determinate and indeterminate structures, with the emphasis on indeterminate, because I believe you are done statically determinate. That's solution by the theory, moment equations, and whatnot. That's that. Then the indeterminate is where you'll be looking at methods of solving, such as moment area, slope deflection, which is the same as slope deflection, moment distribution, double integration, that's Macaulay's method and whatnot. So basically, you're going to be learning how to analyze statically indeterminate structures, and also you'll be looking at bending moment and shear force diagrams for frames. So it's not that serious, just an like an extension from what you've been doing from mechanism of materials 1 and 2. That was in year 2. So it's still taken by the same person. It's the only one taking the course, still engineer Afolabi. So it does not do so give surprise tests. It takes attendance, and it's important you attend these classes. It's also important that you go over what it teaches, because sometimes you might not get the entire picture. This is also one of those courses where YouTube can actually be your friend, like Godway has emphasized. Very important. There's one Indian guy or one Asian guy that's taught this 5 years ago. So sometimes you may not understand entirely from the class, so you can always go back. And also very good for solving problems. So there are a lot of actual calculations in this course, so you can go online to get people that'll give you a step-by-step guide to solve problems. So maybe you just finished slope deflection, you can go online to get someone. Maybe you are not yet understanding. You get you you. I get that. So maybe you're not yet understanding and you want to calculate. So go online, get people that will give you step-to-step calculation. I think some uh recommended text for this course is Structural Analysis by Assam Kasimali or Ibla. You get that in your drive also. So one part of emphasis, actually two parts of emphasis for Dr. Engineer Falabi in general. One is what I remember someone said this during our own orientation, and I took it to heart, and that actually always helped me year in year out. Is the fact that Engineer Falabi likes theory. So he likes diagrams, big diagrams, and theory. So he likes. So there's always this particular section that's just usually theory. It's usually about is either is it's all that section is theory, or you it distributes it in each of the questions. So it might be just one one question, and everything is just story, one's diagrams, and one's illustrates with the diagram, do that and all of that. So he likes that stuff, and I feel it actually does. It gets you a lot of marks. So that's one thing you should note, especially also in his test. He asks for story, at least one piece of story in his test. Then another thing he likes a lot is um BMD and SFD. That's bending moment and shear force diagrams. Make them big, make them draw them neatly, and you're on your way to scoring a in the course. So those are the two things that Engineer Afolabi really likes in his exam. So it's, like I said, it's not so difficult, not so bulky. But yeah, actually, it's bulky. I take that back. CG 331 is quite bulky. But I mean, if, like I said, start early, and I mean, this goes for almost all your courses. Start early and get things done immediately. Like immediately you have a class, try to go through what was done in the class, because chances are you will not understand immediately when you're done with the class. But if you go back, you still have a little bit. You have bits of and pieces of information, and you going back to study brings all those pieces of information together, and you have one big picture, I believe. So that's it for CG314 and CG331. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Favor. That was insightful. So the next is the question and answer session. I hope that everyone in year three was taking notes. Any questions you had for the first two scholars, you should prepare them now, because now you get your chance. Before I take questions, I would like to point out that the courses Godzu talked about, MEG 319 and the GG, those two courses are optional. They are elective, they're not compulsory. But I would advise you to take it. You can get A if you're serious. You can get A in it, but I would advise you to take it. It's your choice, but they're optional. They're elective. So anyone with questions here, just raise your hands and unmute your mic. Any questions? So in the next 5 minutes, we take questions. If you have any questions, now is the time. Also, I wanted to talk about what Favor mentioned. The course he talked about, concrete and timber design. You need your BS code. That should be your friend. You most likely be allowed to use it during the test, or during the exam she might not allow you to bring it in because it's a very big book. Guys can get tricky and start writing formulas and stuff, but she'll give you the formulas you need. She's not wicked. She'll give you what you need. And also the exam is 3 hours. It is you sit down and you write, and it's easy to make mistakes. So that's why it's important you actually go over what she's teaching after every class, because it's very easy to make mistake. It's steps, long steps, but it's not difficult. That is my own advice. So if we don't have any question, I think we should move on to the next part of this orientation. It's moving quite fast, so it's nice. I'll be introducing the next two scholars. Gideon and Yosola will be talking to us about the rest of the courses that you take this year, this semester. And we'll go with Gideon first. Gideon will talk about CG 315 and CG 317. 315 being fluid mechanics of fluids part 2, and 317 properties of civil engineering materials. So Gideon, floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Please, can you hear me this time around? Please signify if you can hear me. Okay. So I will be starting with fluids. Um, as people will say, Alaja, she's not, she's not very. How would I put it? Let me just put it like that. She's very strict. So there are a few important things that you have to take note of if you want to, you know, just bag your head in this influence. So first, I would say you attendance is very important. Attendance. If you miss one class, make sure you don't miss the next one because she takes most of people that comes to her class because she she gives quizzes basically, and those quizzes, even if you think they are very useless, it can be 1 mark or 2 marks, or she will use it as a boost in the end. So please don't make sure you don't miss classes and miss all those many quizzes. That's first. Second, you should be friends with your textbooks. That will be Bansal and Rajput. Bansal and Rajput. Those two textbooks are the short textbooks for fluids. All most of the questions and the topics, everything you need, they are in the two textbooks. Larger switches between those two textbooks for notes too. Um, for fluids, if you want to read for your exam and your test, I would advise you use past questions too. Not that you should really use past questions because she can decide to do something out of the blue. But if you read your textbook and you use past questions for guide, you'll be fine. And also, when you are learning how to derive things, you when you are putting it down, you don't miss steps because larger usually marks with steps. So don't skip things. She's very strict. Yes, don't put it like that. She's strict. What else? I said don't miss quiz, learn to derive, use PQ, and also your lab. Lab is kind of important. Fluids 3 units, so there's going to be lab. So you go to lab, have attendance. For the lab report, there are samples on the drive that you can follow. So once you follow the samples, you write a very good report. You have good drawings, have good reports. Calculations? Yes, calculations and conclusions. Everything, find them on the drive. If you have a good lab report and then if you can score like above 20 in your lab, definitely going to help you at the end. So I think that should be all about fluids. Uh, yes, if your class is 8 o'clock for Alaja, she might give you grace till 8:30. She might even change the time to 8:30 if she's happy. But please don't go to the class 9 because it will just cause trouble. And Alaja doesn't like that. She's very like I've been saying she's strict. Don't miss her classes. If you go late, don't if you wait at the door and you start disturbing her, she'll just be noting your face. But then, like I said, be careful with Alaja. What next? There's then number two is second of with second course is properties. Properties. There is nothing much in properties. It was Dr. Gundalo that took us, and it was a very flexible class. Sometimes online, sometimes physical. We didn't do much. Just sent slides to us. We read. We used past questions to read for exams, and it was very smooth. To be honest, you guys should not be scared of properties at all. But make sure you read the slides. The slides are not very bulky. Just pick out your points. You make summaries of the slides, important points. You use PQ, you see some questions there too. There's nothing much in properties. And also Alaja's tests. Don't worry, you guys don't need to be scared of Alaja because she's just going to give you things that have come out before. So if you read your textbooks, like I've been saying, Basel and Rajput, solve enough examples, and there are questions in these textbooks after each topic. Solve the questions there, solve the examples. Those are where the questions will come out from. And I think you'll be fine. Thank you for having me here. Over to you, Ken.
Thank you so much, Gideon. So before we move on, um, Favor would say something like 2 minutes. He's going to talk about the BS code because it's very important for timber and concrete and timber design. So you talk about the BS code, and Gods will also add a few points, and then we'll ask again. Please, if you have any questions, prepare them. You'll get your chance to ask questions. So the orientation is for you. Favor, please talk about the BS code shortly, and then Godzo, you follow.
Yeah, so sorry, I left out tools for the course. So one of them is the codes. So that's concrete codes, that's the BS code, that's British standard codes, and the one for timber. And I can't remember the standard, but I know it's also BS. So for the concrete, it's called BS 8110. Basically, all about reinforced concrete design. So basically, they contain the formulas required for the course, but much more than that, they contain values which are constants. So that's actually, as you start the course, you understand what I'm saying, but they contain values which you actually use to solve problems. So sometimes you need a certain value, you need a certain formula, and all of that. So that helps you. So you just open. So actually, when you start using it, you get familiar with pages, you get familiar with, because actually the book is quite bulky. I mean, for concrete, timber is not much, and there are just a few things you need from timber, but from concrete there are quite a number of things. But usually they're in the same space, so those are the places you actually just touch for a while. So it's not the entire book, even though you actually get the entire book. It's not I think it's just even part one. So it's not just the entire book you'll be opening. It's not every single page you'll be needing. So there are a particular cluster of pages that you'll be needing. So actually, when you start using it, you just know. So then also the formulas, there are a lot of formulas. Sorry, I forgot to add that, a lot of formulas. But one thing I found out is by constant practice, you actually get used to them. You may not know them in detail, and that's where the BS code comes in. But you'll know what you just have an idea, like you know what K is. You know, like I can actually guarantee you that if you're a diligent student and you get to solve problems constantly, you'll get to Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can continue.
Yeah. Okay. So you get to actually be familiar. You don't even really need to. You don't need to commit these formulas to memory. But I assure you that by virtue of using them constantly, you will actually know what they look like. Then also during our sets, she didn't allow us to use the BS code like Kenny said in the exams, but everything you needed, every single thing, including the formulas, every single thing you needed was in the question paper, or actually at the back of the question paper. So you don't need to even fret at all. Every single thing you need. And if you notice there's something, maybe she left something out, nothing serious anyway. If you left something out, you can just call her attention to it and she'll write it on the board or something. So the important part is you knowing what you need. So that's why I'm emphasizing on the fact that by reason of constant use, by reason of constant practice, you get to have an understanding of what these formulas look like. Like I said, you don't even need to memorize it. Don't bother memorizing it. By using them, you'll get to know what they look like. Then also, the timber is just like I said, it's not nothing serious. Just I think maybe like a few pages, 10 pages or so. Even though you just be needing permissible stress, all of grains, nothing serious. I assure you, you'll be fine. So those are that's something I realized I left out and should have
Yeah.
told you guys about. Yeah.
Thank you, Favor. Stacy, you have a question. Your hand is raised. So unmute your mic and talk.
Yes, good evening. Thank you very much. I think you already answered my question. I wanted to ask like if we'll be allowed to like use the BS code in exams though. So you already answered that. But I also wanted to ask like what are the requirements to actually have like a good lab report, especially when it comes to the discussion and then like towards the end of the lab report, like the concluding part. What exactly are we expected of to be able to make a good lab report? Thank you.
Can I take that?
Sure, sure.
Okay, so I believe this the answer to this question varies with person because we never really get back those lab reports, so we don't even know how well we'll do. But personally, one of the myths I think is a myth. I stand to be corrected, but I think is a myth. The fact that the more pages, the better your lab reports. I don't work towards that. I don't think it's true. It's not like your lab report should be 4 pages and you call it a day. Obviously, that's not reasonable. But I mean, like, it's not like if you have 100 pages, also that guarantees that. I feel it even stresses the person that's going to mark it. It's just like, wow, what's this? So I mean, reasonable amount of pages is one of the things I would say makes a good lab report. Then also following the steps. Then so the steps are what you've already raised. So first is do I even remember? First is the introduction, the title of the experiment, the introduction. This you'll find in front of your lab manual, anyways. So your introduction, your title, your apparatus, and all of that. So I feel the meat of the marks comes in your results. So results basically is just a table of values from either of the experiments. So be it fluid or mixes of materials or whatever. Those are where you get your results from. Then results processing, so that's actually how you're able to make sense of the results you've gotten. So basically, every experiment has an aim she gets. So the result processing takes you back to that aim. So was the experiment was the aim of the experiment achieved? Was it not? What were the problems you encountered? Then there's a discussion and conclusion. So basically, I feel your lab report is as good as your understanding of the lab experiment itself. So if you have so that's why important before you go to the lab, just check the topics online and I mean the title of the experiments online, watch videos so that you get to know what to expect in the lab. Then heads up, our equipments are quite old, so your results, yeah, I don't know. Your results are not always are probably not going to be accurate. At some point, they'll be giving you values, but that should not stop your own understanding. So, like, I advise you to pursue understanding, especially for these reports. I hope they will try to make sense to you. I mean, the reports themselves. So, like, try to understand why am I even doing this lab in the first place. So you should have an understanding of the lab itself. And like I said, your lab report is as good as your understanding of the lab itself. Like I also want to iterate, it does not depend on the number of pages. It's not that's not true. At least that's what I think. I stand to be corrected, like I said. So that's it. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah. Thank you, Favor. Stacy, was that helpful? I believe that was helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Godzilla has something to say, so just keep it short so that we move on to the last scholar.
All right. Sorry. Before I say what I want to say, let me quickly add something to what Favor said. Before each lab, I think for fluids, I can't remember for the others, but before each, I think when you get to each lab, the first lab you do, you'll be asked to do a pre-lab. Please take those pre-labs very seriously. They might look like they are stressing you, or I think each of them accounts for 2 marks. It might look like they don't count, but trust me, they count. They count a lot. So please take your pre-labs very seriously. And also, some of these lab guys have preferences. Some might tell you, I don't want too much theory. Just keep it short and go straight to the point. Some might want a lot of theory, so try to figure out their preferences. And then one thing I also discovered that worked for me was try as much as possible to make your diagrams neat, presentable, and very similar to whatever apparatus you have in the lab. Whatever apparatus you have, try as much as possible to make your diagram resemble whatever it is you have in the lab. It helps me a lot. So then going on to what I wanted to say, going back to GG311, like I said, Wolfram Mathematica is a very, very important software for that course. Now, why I'm stressing it is because the man, he brings it up in the class, but he does it in a way that he assumes you already know Mathematica. He assumes that you already know it. So he will just give you syntaxes of the program and tell you for you to see how it works. So it is important that you find time to learn it on your own. Find time to learn syntaxes, put two and two together, understand the programming language. It's going to help you a lot because if it allows you to use it in the exam, there are things that Wolfram Mathematica will save you a lot of time on. For example, one example is partial differentiation. There are partial differentiations of trigonometric functions that if you do with hand, I promise you, 30 minutes you are not done. But if you use Wolfram Mathematica within a minute or a minute and a half, it has given you your answer because it takes some time to load. But it has given you your answer. So please, in as much as it is not, it is not, how do I put it? It's not, it looks like it's not necessary for the course. Try as much as possible to learn the Wolfram Mathematica. Then, based on what Kenny said earlier, these two courses are electives. But what I advise you to, because there are quotas of electives you must do. There's a total sum unit of electives you must do before you can graduate. If you don't do up to that, you cannot graduate. Same for your core courses too. Your core courses have some units you have to do, electives have some units you have to do. So you must do the sum units completely, else you won't graduate. So my advice is if you are looking to drop one of the electives, register the both of them at first. You have 7 weeks into the semester for editing of your courses. So register both of them at first. Then after registering both of them, attend both of the classes like 4 5 times, 3 4 5 times. Whichever of them you see that okay, this course is looking like it's going to pose a problem for me, then you can go ahead to remove it from your portal. If you are looking to drop one of them, but the better advice is try as much as possible to do two of them so that by the time you are in year 5 you won't have too much electives to do. You have time to focus on your core courses and then your projects. But if you notice that one of them is giving you issue, please remove it so that you won't end up messing up your CGPA or something. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Godzu, Favor, Gideon. So we'll move on to the last scholar, Ijabi Yosola. Yosola is going to talk about transportation engineering and she will talk about extracurricular activities, the importance. So you guys should please pay attention. It's very important.
Um, Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. Again, thank you so much for having me here, and also, kudos to the organizers for putting this together. I think it's very important that we have something like this to let you guys know what to expect when you actually get to school and with the courses and everything. So just so I don't talk too much and digress, I'm just going to go straight into it. So I'll be speaking on two things here. The first one would be transportation engineering, which is one of the courses, and the second one would be I'll be speaking on extracurricular activities. Right. I hope I don't get like the same time allocated to everyone because I'm speaking on two different things. But anyway, I'll try to be fast with everything. So yes, the first thing, transportation engineering. So transportation engineering is actually a very chill course, right? It is really calm, and the lecturer that took us is also very calm. So now I do not know if the same lecturer that took us is the one that has been taking it since, but I want to believe is still going to be the one to take you guys. And this lecturer is Dr. Adeboje. I think he has taken a course in 200 level before, or you should be familiar with him anyway. So Dr. Ajibode is actually a very chilled lecturer. It does not have stress like it takes mostly courses that you just really have to like read. Mostly all those reading courses that you really do not have to solve a lot of questions on it, right? So transportation was like really chilled for us. I want to believe like most people at it, to be very honest. So I'm going to like try to go through like a breakdown of how it was and everything. So we did very little calculation. I think the calculation was just maybe three topics in the whole course outline, and the calculation is something you most likely have done in this other course. I think
Surveying.
Yes, surveying. Thank you very much. So yes, it is something you're familiar with, but it may look different, but it's still pretty much the same thing. So just that calculation part where you have to solve maybe length of chord, you have to solve length of something, 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 and all that. It's really not difficult, right? So that's just the part. The other part you just have to read. Now, for me, I do not exactly like courses that I have to read because I feel like I'm more comfortable with courses that I have to solve for, right? I know that last I'll still get I'll still get marks for the steps or something, right? But the course is majorly like reading and then like 30% calculation. So that means you have to be proficient in the calculation part and also the reading part as well. So I think we did a test, right? The test did not go bad, right? The test was pretty chilled. Then we did the exam. Now, what I remember from that exam was that the man literally lifted last year the previous year's past question and just give it to us like that. It was crazy, right? So this is just to say that past questions should be your friend. If anything, you should study past questions like your life depends on it, to be very honest, right? So now I do not know if it's going to do the same thing that it did for us for you guys, right? I don't know if he's going to do the same thing. I think, in fact, he'd be very, very lazy on his part if he should do that for 2 consecutive years. But something he may do is to take bits and pieces of different questions in the same past question as well, because they really do not like to set a lot of questions, like new questions. And I feel like this relates to other courses as well. So read past questions, make past questions your friends, solve as many past questions as possible. It's really help you for all your courses, not just transportation engineering. So yeah, we did past questions, so you can already imagine that the exam was pretty chill as well. So it was lucky. It was for people that studied the past question, the previous past question, prior to that exam, it was like really, it was a breeze through for them, right? And for people that did not even really study it as well, or for people that did not come across the past questions at that time, it still wasn't bad for them because the questions were not entirely difficult. Most of his questions, so he has slides for all the classes, all the weeks, right? Just read the slides, read between the lines, like read the slides. He brings out his questions from the slides. So I want to believe that if you read the past questions well, if you read the slides well, you are sure to get an A in his course. So read the slides very well. His questions comes out from the slide. So I'm trying to remember what else. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's really just the slide. Then there was this very annoying part where you had to do like a practical, or like this practical stuff that we were like Loma officials, right? So at the end of the course, the man just came and just said that we are going to stand at the front of the gate of Unilag. It split us into two groups, right? So we're front gate and back gate. So he said that we're going to count the number of cars coming, we're going to count the route or something like that. It was a very very interesting um practical, right? But it was actually fun. I think we kind of made it fun for ourselves. But those that picked afternoon, the sun was not smiling. My name fell in the afternoon, so I had to like do afternoon work. So the sun was really crazy. So now I do not know if it's going to do the same thing for you guys. If you guys are going to have like a practical thing, I think I heard from year four guys then that they did something similar, but they were not at the gate. So I don't know how true that is, and I don't know if our immediate senior did something like that. But you might as well just prepare your mind that you're going to do something similar. Have your reflective jackets ready because you're going to need it and all that. So you have to take the practical very serious because it actually also contributes to your mark. The annoying part was that after everything that we did, it was just, was it 20 marks or 10 marks? I can't remember. Kenny, do you remember how many marks it was?
I think it was like 20 marks. No one got above 12 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
So it
it
was,
wasn't up to 20 marks, so I think it was 14 marks. The highest mark you could get was 14. So it was
I mean,
14
it was
marks.
okay. I thought it was
okay.
20. I
Okay.
don't know one
Me too, I
go
thought it
above
was 20 actually. So I was like, why is this man giving us 12 over 20 after all
12
our
over 20.
stress? But yeah, the that was the outcome of that. Then something he mentioned was we should take attendance. I think some groups did not take it serious. I don't know, but our group did, and I think most of the people in our group scored like really high marks, right? So, even if you do not show, I'm not saying you should not show up to the practical law. I mean, it's going to be very annoying to your team members if they have to do your own time if you do not show up. But take your attendance seriously, or at least have someone sign for you. You know how we do it now, normal level. So yeah, take attendance seriously for the practical. I did not think he takes attendance in his class. He really does not mind. He's just a free man like that. So but just attend his classes, right, try to listen to him, and all that. Assignment, I think he gives assignments, right? Yes, he does. So for the assignment, just really try to do your assignment, try to understand what you are doing. I know the normal principle is to dub, right? But in as much as you even want to dub, try to understand what the content of the assignment, at least before your test or your exam, because there's a high chance that that is what will come out or something like that. So understand your classwork. I'm even talking about the calculation part most especially, and the assignments it gives very well before your exams. So I think that is all on transportation engineering. I don't think I missed anything, but if I do, I'll probably just relate to the ESCOs to tell you guys. So the second part of my the second part of my speech, or what I have to say, is the extracurricular part. So I do not know how involved you guys are with extracurricular activities in school, right? Some people say, oh, they do not have time, GED is taking their time. How much time do they have to do stuff outside school, right? But I'll tell you for free that these extracurricular activities are actually there to build you guys. So excelling in school alone is not just what you need. You also need to involve yourself in other things. So you might want to fill some applications, some scholarships, some internships, and all that. And everybody else brings A's to the table. Everybody else brings good CGPAs to the table. So what makes you stand apart? Stand apart, to be very honest. So they'll most likely ask you questions like, okay, what leadership positions have you taken? What extracurricular activities did you do? What XYZ yada yada yada, they'll ask you, right? So it is really important to key into the opportunities to do stuff outside school. And people will say, do not be a triangle student. Don't just go from class, hostel to maybe the church or the mosque. Try to do something outside school. So yeah, this is what I'm here to talk to you about. So fortunately for me and for you guys, I am currently the president of Junior Chamber International Nigeria University of Lagos. So it is JCI for short. I don't know if you've heard about it. So it is basically an organization or a community for young active citizens. So what we do is we train people to be leaders, right? I think that's one of our keywords, right? We train people to be leaders. with we train them professionally, we train them to go outside to make change in the world, to create change in their environment and all that, right? So we do personal development building, leadership building, and everything you would want to think of. And we also work on projects and programs on campus. We do stuff on campus. We plan projects that would create change to the community, right? So off the top of my head, there are also other communities that you can join. There are also other organizations. I know of SDA Unilag, they advocate for the SDGs. I know of ASEC, pretty much do the same thing as what JCI does, right? I know of Rotaract, maybe Red Cross. I know of trying to see. Okay, there's the tax club, there's the insurance society. There are even ones that are engineering based, the Engineering Career Expo. There is PADC. I think they're about to do the like grand finale. You can volunteer to be on their team, right, for the grand finale. There are a lot really, and in school when you're still an undergraduate is when you really have time to key into these opportunities because they really help you. And to not even get me started on the kind of people you would meet when you start putting yourself out to volunteer, the kind of scholarships you'll be able to get. So I'm going to take myself for example. Personally, I've had the course to meet the deputy vice chancellor just because I'm the president or just because I'm a part of JCI, right? Naturally, how would I possibly want to meet the deputy vice chancellor of University of Lagos? For what? Like, why? How? From where? Just this small girl from 400 level civil going to meet VC. Ha, Abego. So yeah, all those things you get to meet people. You get to meet a lot of people. You get to make impact. You get to do stuff. And if you're not even about that lifestyle, that okay, me, I just want for my CV or for my portfolio, you get to make your portfolio really robust. Now, when you apply for applications, scholarships, they really just have to pick you because you just bring so much to the table aside academics. So all these things, apart from the fact that they build you, they help you become a better person, they also give you a better spot at anything you apply for, right? And what most of these things will also do to you would help you post school, right? So again, I can speak for JCI because I'm a member and I'm also the president, but JCI really just trains you to be able to face the world even outside school. So when we do our programs, when we do our general assemblies, our meetings, everybody comes, they dress well. We teach them how to dress because you can find yourself anywhere. You can literally be sitting beside the CEO of a company and you want to pitch yourself. We teach them how to pitch themselves, elevator pitch, sell themselves to people that would change their life in quotes, right? So all these things, if you are not a part of organizations like that or communities like that, you probably would not even know that you have to learn all those things, right? So and also the community. Don't get me started on the community. So you will think that your classmates are just your only friends or just the people that you know, and probably your hostel mates, right? But you can also build community with other people. You get to meet people from different faculties, different departments, from medicine, from law, from management science, everywhere. You're all joined together with one similar um goal to do something together, and I think that's very beautiful. So I'm just going to stop here. I don't know if um I have anything else to say. And the PRO of Nicesa, which is Diane, she would be dropping more updates on scholarships and everything. So I would just say you guys should key into it. It's very important. In fact, the scholarships that are available now are mostly 100, 200, and 300 level students. I tried applying for scholarships like lately, and I was just seeing 200 level students. I was like, why? So like this is the time you have to really just key into those scholarship
This is your
opportunities
time.
because exactly, because if you procrastinate and just like do not do anything, when you get to a higher level, you would wish you were in a lower level to apply to those scholarships, of course. So I think this is where I hang my boots. Thank you so much for having me, and I will be taking questions if there are any.
Thank you so much, Yosola. We enjoyed that. Thank you, Madam President. I think the scholars have spoken. if you have questions, this is the time to ask. I just raise your hands. I know you guys are taking notes, so any questions you have, please let us know. Let us know now. Um, yeah. So questions. Next five. Okay. Ijulu, Dapo, please talk.
Hi. So I don't know if it was God's will that handled GED. Yeah. So some individuals messaged me and asking for him to shed more light on Mathematica and Wolfram. So I told them I'm not in the best position to answer that question. So I don't know if God's will can just say something about it because
Yeah.
I think it helps to make your work faster and all of that. I didn't offer the course, so God's will, I don't know. You can address Mathematica again for them.
All right. So basically, Mathematica Wolfram is basically like the company name for Mathematica. Let me put it that way. The name of the software is called Wolfram Mathematica, but we just shorten it to Mathematica or Wolfram sometimes. So Mathematica is basically, like I said it earlier, but I'll repeat it again. It's a software that basically helps you to solve mathematical problems using syntaxes that you send to the software. So, for example, if you want to find, like I talked about partial differentiation earlier, if you want to find the partial differentiation with respect to the second or third order of a particular function, I said it earlier that doing it with your hand, there are questions or functions that can take you 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and you are still not done. But feeding it to Mathematica with a simple syntax, like something like the something, I can't remember most of the syntaxes now, it's been a while. But then feeding it into Mathematica with those syntaxes, give it a minute or two, it will bring out the answer for you. Now, the only downside to it is that there are no workings. It won't show you the workings. But once you just give it a question, it gives you the answer. No workings in between. That's why I put in the chat section that it is really, really important for you guys to try and pester the man for him to spill if he's going to give you guys theory or OBJ, because like I said, there was something that was going on during our time and we kind of found it to be true, that the school directed that from 300 level and above, no CBTs and no MRs. So basically, everything should be theory. So now I don't. That's why I said I don't know if the man will do theory for you guys or OBJ, because if he does theory, you guys are definitely going to be in the dark about how he's going to set questions. You don't know where questions will come out from. But if he does OBJ for you guys, there are some of us that have, I think, screenshots of some of the self-test questions that we did, and we can put them on the drive for you guys so that you can just go there, look through them, and then do whatever. But yeah, Mathematica just helps makes your work easy. It's a programming software. Within, if you devote 3 4 days to it, you can learn the necessary syntaxes for GG311 that you're going to need. It's not necessary you learn Mathematica as a whole, like the whole software. You can just learn the particular syntaxes that you need, then try to use them frequently so they will be in your head. So you just have them in your head, and then during the exam, if you're allowed to use them, you can just, if you're allowed to use Mathematica rather, you can just quickly use it to solve the questions that can be solved with Mathematica. Then the ones that will need you to solve with hand, you solve with hand. Then the part that we have maybe questions on theoretical aspects, you also do that as well. So that's basically what Mathematica is.
Thank you so much, God's will. So, I mean, there's still time for questions. If you don't have questions now and you have them later, um, we'll find a way to compile those questions and get it to the scholars so that they can give you the right answer to it. Maybe I believe Lawal is on your class group chat, so you could reach out to him with any question you have. He's going to ensure it gets to the scholars and they will give you the right answer. So Lawal will help us with that. Um, I think we have basically gone through everything we have for the day. So without wasting anybody's time, because I mean, this has been wonderful. Thank you guys so much for showing up, and the scholars, thank you for giving us insight, valuable game. So thank you very much. Um, Now it's up to the president to give us the closing remarks. So, Kyoche, your turn.
Okay, thank you so much, KD. I've been listening all through, and that was really amazing. Like, the speakers really spoke well. I could imagine in retrospect how I was able to tackle these courses, and honestly, they've actually hit the nail on the head, right? And that's amazing. You guys really did a great job. Mm, I'll just add something little on what they've said. I'll try to be very honest with you guys that 300 level is probably the most difficult level you pass through as an undergraduate. Um, why? Because most of the courses now you'll be doing are focused on civil engineering. Like, this is why you came to school. Do you get me? Um, I know most of you know I'm a volunteering person, but I'll let you know that you need to balance it. You need to balance it. Yosola is right that you need to volunteer to an extent to kind of build your CV, but you need to balance it, and it's very, very important, right? If you cannot balance it, I honestly suggest you pick your academics over volunteering, right? When it comes to you having to pick, you pick your academics over volunteering. Then aside that, I had a conversation with someone in your class. It was actually a brief conversation. Was it yesterday? And he was telling me how he felt his result isn't up to standard. Although I didn't ask him what his CGPA was, but I'll be frank with you guys, right? Like, you still have 6 semesters. Trust me, wherever you are now, you can come out with a good result, right? With a very, very good result. Wherever you are now, you can come out with a very good result. In fact, it's even better for those who are direct entry students. They've done only 2 semesters and they have 6 more left. So that's a lot. That's a lot. Trust me that that will transform your results if you consistently build on your results. I have some course mates that didn't start well, but right from 300 level, they just picked up, and trust me that they are flying. And a number of them are close to entering first class as we speak, who that start from 2-1. So trust me that there are some points that will be on your CGPA that you know that you can't move beyond a particular grade. For instance, for now, some people may be too low that they already know that they can't make first class. It's fine. Trust me, it's fine. What you just have to focus on now is how can you maximize your results to get what you still want. Because when people apply for scholarships, from what I learned from the graduate school orientation we had just over the weekend, you can just use your last 2 semesters and pitch yourself properly, and people will still listen to you and understand your thought process on how you didn't perform well from the onset. Then you picked up. You get it's a great story to pitch to anyone. So trust me that all of you are in a good position. Just have to calm down and ask yourself, what do you really want? And how bad do you want it? Then give it your all. Like, your life depends on it. If you want to volunteer, fine, right? Just make sure you balance it. First class is good, it's great, in fact. Like, first class, you don't need to say too much, you don't need to explain. You know, go explain tire. Just show the first class, and people know that you are actually a dedicated human being. You can focus on something that is probably boring and still like give it your best, right? So guys, you're just starting. So if you think you're on a low standing, trust me that you can still do exceptionally well. And for those of you who feel you cannot make first class, for instance, again, first class is great, but trust me that even if you don't make first class, it's fine. Just ensure you give it your best, right? So thank you guys for the speakers. Like that was really amazing. I know I've said it before, but I have to say it again. So on behalf of the student body, which is the Civil Engineering Student Society, I would like to appreciate the speakers here present for taking out time to, from their busy schedule, to speak to us on how we can achieve good results in the coming semester, like they did. We wish you all, as the speakers, success in your present and future endeavors. Thank you so much. We really appreciate. Um, so for this current administration, over the last 2 months in office, right, we've spent, I think we're elected. Let me not say inaugurated because we haven't been inaugurated yet. We're elected, I think in July, if I'm not wrong. So um, we started our first meeting was probably in June. So we've actually been communicating for over 2 months. We haven't even had a physical meeting yet. So we've been communicating for the last 2 months, and we've been able to implement one complete project, which a number of you probably benefited from it, which is the teaching you guys Proto structure and AutoCAD, which is actually the first of its kind in probably the history of this department. And I believe we had over 90 applications for this project. Um, Most of you who actually completed your project should expect your certificate soon. I was actually a student in this project, so I took Proto structure. Um, the other projects and initiatives we are hoping that we would be able to accomplish in this administration would include, but not limited to, um, Kende, you want to say something?
No,
Okay. So the other projects we would hope to accomplish this administration will include the CES annual conference and design competition, the head of department games and closing ceremony, the CES league, field trips, more webinars. Just expect a lot of webinars. I assure you. The CES newsletter, which one of you here is even heading the CES newsletter team. I've actually seen her grow in the last 2 weeks, and I'm actually amazed and really happy for her. We would organize more social events for you guys, exam prep tutorials, and much more. And trust me that every single thing I've mentioned here will be different. You've never seen what we are going to hit you with before in the existence of this department. Just trust me when I say that. And in order to accomplish this project, right, we we need your support, right? Not just in terms of payment of your dues, but also in rendering your volunteering services to the department. Um, for the dues, we will open payment for the sales dues, which the amount is pegged at 3,000 naira soon. So you guys should look out. We'll soon open payment. Once again, thank you guys all for being here. For without you, the essence of this event wouldn't have been fulfilled. So thank you guys, and have a lovely night rest. Kendi.
thank you so much for that, Mr. President. And thank you guys. I want to just appreciate everyone for taking time out and being here, the speakers, the students, the moderators. So I believe we have come to the end of this orientation. We tried to make it as short as possible, but I mean, you have to agree this was very insightful. So um, thank you so much for taking time out. You can enjoy the rest of your day.